Hey, 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 everybody. Today I have for you podcast number 017. Today's podcast is titled Set the Table Early. Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of your weekly Limitless Life Network podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Lombardi, and this is the Limitless Life Network podcast, where we flesh out the limitations that are preventing you from reaching your goals and living the life that you deserve. And this podcast is for you if you want to live a life with less limitations and more freedom, with a healthier mind, body, and spirit. The Limitless Life Network brand was born out of the scripture in Ephesians 3:20, which reads, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." And I want to help you to recognize and tap into that limitless power that's actually at work within you. So today, this episode is titled Set the Table Early. And of course, there is a backstory to this. And I think it's really apropos given that we're about ready to celebrate Christmas this coming weekend. And following Christmas is New Year's. And then you may celebrate other holidays. Not sure what you do during this time of year, but it's considered the holiday season. And nonetheless, not everyone really spends much time thinking through their holidays, as far as like being super intentional about them. So in fact, most people just typically will do what they normally do during the holidays. And on the other side of the holiday season is the beginning of a new calendar year. And if you know, most people are really thinking like, wow, I got to set my goals. I got to get ready. I got to get everything all planned right now to get ready for the new year. But reality is you should already have a plan and you should already be working your plan. And, unfortunately, that's not what most people have. Most people have kind of lost their plan along the way, and they're just kind of winging it at the end of the year. And most people begin the new year with less money in their pockets. They typically have more debt. They put on some extra pounds, and maybe you're feeling a little guilty about that. And then the short-term remedy typically is, I'm going to join a gym and start working out again. And usually, and if you talk to any gym out there, if you find out their memberships skyrocket in January, even in February, and a lot of those people falter within about 90 days, and they're back to their usual people that are there on a regular basis. So the other thing that we see around in the new year is a big spike in illness again. So we typically see a spike after Thanksgiving. We see a spike after Halloween, and usually after the beginning of a new school year. And that's because there's a huge change in people's routines and their eating habits and so forth. So um, whenever we host for the holidays, my wife Sandy is a big planner, and she has it down to a science. She has her own system of how she gets ready for the holidays. For instance, Thanksgiving or Christmas, if we're hosting, which we are again this year, I know that not only will she have meals prepped, but one of things that she always does, her trademark move, and I think she got it from her mother, is to set the table the night before. So any eating for breakfast is going to be done at the counter or at a different part of the house. And we have a place in the basement that's finished where we eat down there sometimes. So she gets the table all set, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I don't know why she does this. Why does she have to do it the night before? I don't know. But it is one of her trademark moves. And I think it's possibly because it helps her sleep better at night. knowing that she has the right size tablecloth, that the one she ordered, if she got a new one, actually fits our table, because we've got a pretty long table with lots of leaves that we've had for years, because we like to have all of the family at one table if possible. And and maybe she's really concerned that all her silverware is going to match, or she has enough plates or enough glasses or whatever it might be, the napkins. I don't know what she worries about, but she doesn't have to if she's done it the night before. She likes to be prepared. And that's a great, great trademark, a great habit that she has. So here's here's five interesting points, and these 5 points I think will serve you well through the holiday season. And point number one is simply have a holiday strategy. So what do I mean by that? So strategy is like, from everything that you're going to do differently during the holidays, what are the potential things that are going to throw you off your game? um, are do you have a tendency to be somebody that waits till the last minute to go shopping and stresses out about it? Are you somebody that tends to spend too much because you start shopping in the summertime and you keep buying more and more gifts and they start to accumulate, and the next thing you know, you've really overspent for the holidays, and by the time the new year rolls around, you get your credit card statement and you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I spent that much. So have a strategy for spending, have a strategy for gift giving, who you're going to buy for, who you're going to, maybe make a gift for or do something different besides that. Who knows? But have a plan when it comes to that. But it's not just a strategy about gift giving, because that's not what the holidays are about. What about interaction with family members? What about eating and foods that you should avoid? Or maybe you have a tendency to just overeat, or maybe you're just a sucker for desserts and sweets, and you just feel so tempted by that. So, what's your strategy to handle that so that it doesn't get the best of you and that you end up spiking your blood sugar and becoming a type 2 diabetic for the new year? Um, we don't want to lose our health in the middle of celebrating, which is supposed to be a very festive, fun time of the year. Um, what about sleep? Rest. Have a strategy for the hours that you're going to spend. How about exercise? What are you going to do about that? Like, are you going to just give up on exercise for the holidays? Some people do. Some people say, you know what? I've been working out every single day all year long, doing my exercise diligently. I'm going to take 2 days off and give my body a rest. I'm going to take a week off. That's okay. Not a problem with that. You can literally take 2 weeks off of exercise and really not lose a lot in the fitness category. And a lot of times you'll actually be better a week or two back because your body's had enough time to rest and repair. So have a strategy. Nonetheless, we really just don't want to go into the holidays and play it by ear. Just see what happens and roll with it. And because on the other side of it, there's a lot more opportunity for some negative outcomes on the other side. So that's point number one. Have a strategy. So that takes time. That takes not a lot of time, but it takes some intentional planning and some intentional thought. So best way to do that is take out a notebook, take out a piece of paper, get out your laptop, get on your computer, start a file, open a program, whatever you got to do to actually put pen to paper and just outline the main categories, whether it's exercise, diet, sleep, um, finances, relationships. Just to think of a few things that you can just try to iron out how you're going to handle all that. Point number two is don't be like most people. Most people, like I began the podcast off, end up post holiday having a bit of regret on their finances and how much they've spent. They have a little bit of regret, or maybe even feel shameful about over drinking or overeating, or Um, Maybe not saying some of the nicest things to certain people during the holidays because they got stressed out. They were worked up about something. Maybe you just feel lousy at the end of the holidays because maybe didn't move much. You just spent a lot of time on the couch and you just kind of wasted time watching TV the whole time. So that's what a lot of people do. So a lot of people also suffer from chronic disease. And typically, what if we look at statistics across the board, just in the United States, which most people that are listening to this podcast are U.S. citizens. Um, you know, 1 out of 2 Americans has heart disease. One out of, or dies of heart disease. 1 out of 3 Americans dies of cancer. 90% of adult population has one type of chronic disease, like lifestyle disease, like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, those types of things, obesity. So just don't be like everybody else in that regard. And the only way to do that is to actually have a plan and act on it. So point number 3 is not everybody can get away with it. this is this goes back to yes, moderation. I hear this all the time. A little bit in moderation is just fine. Okay, I get you. Um, yes, that's true. A little bit of moderation is okay. But when moderation turns into a habit, um, then it actually starts to work against you because it's like putting money in the bank, but it's not the bank that's building interest and helping you out. It's literally like throwing money away. You're literally burning it. So a bad habit over and over again eventually costs you money. Let me give you the example. I've heard this before that, I had a relative, say my great grandmother, she smoked cigarettes until she was 97 years old, never had lung cancer, never had a problem. Everybody in my family smokes, so therefore we must be immune to it. I don't know. So, how is it that one person can get away with it? Well, one person can get away with it maybe because they just have really good genetic potential and not everybody else does, right? So those are the rare situations that, yeah, some people can get away with it, but the majority and the percent wise, if you look at statistics, yeah, smoking's going to eventually catch up with you 40, 50 years down the road. Some people, it happens much sooner. Same thing with overeating. Overeating, a lot of people can get away with overeating when they're younger, but as you know, as your metabolism changes, as your hormone levels change as you age, all of a sudden you can't suck down all those calories like you used to when you were younger without it putting weight on your body, and you start to store all those extra calories as fat. And then your body mass index begins to change as you age, and you're thinking, well, I'm just getting older, I'm getting heavier. Well, yeah, but your eating habits are catching up with you. And I think I did a podcast on that a long time ago. The other example is just like skipping, exercise. You can get away with skipping exercise once in a while, but when that becomes the habit, you're not going to get away with it. Eventually, you're going to lose strength. Eventually, you're going to lose fitness. Eventually, you're going to start to have things build up on you. And the eventually thing is, it's like eating too, like sugar. When you're younger, a young kid can eat a whole bunch of chocolate cake and it doesn't really matter because their bodies are really good at handling blood sugar. But as we age, our ability of our cells to handle and metabolize sugar, it goes down. They actually start to push back against the insulin that drives that sugar into our cells. And we struggle with it. So the body tries to adapt and it tries to store as much of it as it can in your muscle. And if you're losing muscle mass in your body, you have less storage for that sugar as well. So it becomes a downward spiral, but it all began because you thought you could get away with it when you were younger. And you maybe got away with it for a while, or maybe you know somebody that gets away with it, right? Because they eat sweets all the time. but they may have way more muscle mass on their body, and their ability to handle blood sugar spikes is much greater. So not everybody can get away with it. That's point number three. Point number four is a huge one in my opinion because it's such a common issue for people. Fix your sleep and win a prize. That's point number four. It is probably the most common complaint that any person that I've ever interviewed on a new patient in my practice, they all almost everybody has some type of sleeping problem, whether they have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom constantly, or whether they have just not enough sleep. Like I never feel rested. So a lot of these issues can be solved with some simple means. One of those currently is just stop eating, a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. Too many people snack right before bed, and that's one of my things that I notice. If I eat right before I go to bed, I don't sleep as soundly or as well because my digestive system is working through the night, and the blood is not in the digestive system at that time. So that food doesn't really go through your digestive system as well as it should. So give your body ample time to digest your food. Another point is get away from screens, looking at your phone, watching TikTok, watching videos, all that stuff right before bed, watching television, like lots of light in your eyes. Your brain needs to understand that the sun has gone down, and that way it can produce the proper chemicals for you to start to fall asleep. Okay. So when we're constantly putting this artificial light, it's literally confusing your nervous system, and it's not allowing the proper hormones to really release to allow you to fall asleep. Another one is getting exercise, like getting out, moving your body, and getting some fresh air. Like those things during the day, getting sunlight on your skin during the day, really, really important to help your body to, understand your normal circadian rhythms. Another one is magnesium. Magnesium is a supplement that you can take that is really good for a lot of people, like 70% of the population in the United States is magnesium deficient. So taking magnesium really helps your nervous system to regulate sleep better too, as well as your muscles to relax. And then having a really good sleep system, like in other words, make sure you invest in a quality mattress, quality pillow. You want to have, your room nice and dark. And then the other thing about your sleep environment is the temperature. If your room is too hot, that's not good. You really want your room temperature. Like I find I sleep really good if it's like 65 degrees to 68 degrees tops. Like 65 degrees is like the sweet spot for me. If it's warmer than that, 70, 75, oh my gosh, I don't sleep nearly as deeply as I do when the temperature's like that. So if you could just try some of those tips and fix your sleep, boy, you will win a prize. What I mean by that is sleep is super important for our body and our brain. Your brain literally dumps a lot of gunk out of your head during the sleep process. So, really important for the brain to detoxify, for your nervous system to regenerate, to get you ready for the next day. So everybody really needs that 8 hours that they talk about. Some people say, "Oh, I do really good on just 5 hours, on 6 hours." You're just not used to getting regularly, 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. I know that if I get 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep, I have so much more energy. And that's one of the things that people comment to me all the time is like, you always seem to have so much energy. And I don't, if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'll be honest, I have to really like try to express extra energy if I'm tired. But if I slept really, really good, oh my goodness, I have tons and tons of energy the next day. So fix your sleep, win a prize. and that is way more energy and better health. And point number five is this: it's we've all heard the saying, uh, someone's lost their marbles, and this point is not about losing your marbles. It's actually called "Don't Give Up Your Rocks." And what are your rocks? And this is what people do during the holidays: is that they typically give up their rocks, and during stressful times they give up their rocks. What does that mean? Giving up your rocks is because your rocks are those solid things. They're the non-negotiables. It's like sleep is a rock for me, right? Like I got to get to bed by a certain time because I know if I don't do that, then it's going to mess up everything else. Another one is hydrating. Like if I don't drink enough water during a day, then I know it's going to negatively impact me. So like that's a rock. Like I'm not going to go through a day and not drink that certain amount of water that I typically like to drink. I like to get at least like 4 liters in my body during the day, and if I don't do that, then I notice a difference the next day. So hydration for me. Another one is exercise. What It doesn't have to always be a structured workout, but I mean, like today was literally just a lot of hiking up and down hills through snow, and snow is a lot of resistance when you're walking, and that was a great exercise. My lower body is tired. I got tons of sweat. Sweating is great because you get all your toxins moving through your body, out of your body through your skin. Um, but rocks are that, like if your diet, like eating your meals at the right time and the right amounts, right? Like so you've got to have some rocks, those things that you're non-negotiable. And during the holidays, if you can just not lose your marbles or don't give up your rocks, you are going to be on the other side of it so much healthier, so much happier, and really setting yourself up for a great start for the new calendar year. Um, Also, it doesn't have to just be like that. That one isn't just for the new year, not giving up your rocks. It's during times of stress. So, like, l- I remember when my father passed away, it was a sad, sad time for our family. But at the same time, like, I didn't skip my routine of going to the gym, and I didn't skip the typical, routine as far as what I did for sleep and for exercise, for meals. Like I really stuck to the program. And what it did was it enabled me to have the energy and the wherewithal to deal with all the extra stress that I had to definitely encounter during that time. And I really remember like feeling like, wow, I don't feel as stressed out as I think I probably thought I would. And it was certainly a sad time, but I handled it really, really well, and it was because I stuck to my rocks. Um, it also happens just like even in where I live we're living in central New York, we can get blasted with a snowstorm. And here's what I always see year in and year out is that snowstorms can be predicted to be these big, huge events. And then what really happens is you get just a few inches of snow, but everybody panics, right? Because it's been programmed into you like, oh my gosh, it's Snowmageddon. It's like the world is ending, the sky is falling. Oh no, it happens every year. In the beginning of the winter, people freak out about it, and then they go right out of their routine. They run to the store, they buy more whatever they need for supplies, like they're going to be snowed in, and they skip all the things that they normally would do. Like they may skip, their workout, or they may just all of a sudden start eating crap just because, oh my gosh, we're going to be snowed in. We got to go get a bunch of food. So I see a huge drop off in people showing up to the office for their routine chiropractic adjustments because they think, oh, well, I'm not going to drive because there's, a couple inches of snow on the road. And then you have other people that they're like, I'm not going to miss because, I know I need this, and so they'll drive from, 45 minutes away through much worse conditions than somebody who lives down the street. So don't be thrown off and don't lose your rocks in the middle of stressful times, but most importantly, through the holiday season. because I want each and every person that watches this or listens to this to come out on the other side of the holidays happier, healthier, and wealthier moving into this next calendar year. So that's all I have for you tonight. That's all for this week's edition of the Weekly Limitless Life Network podcast. Tune in each and every week to stay connected, be inspired, and keep moving toward your best life by stripping away your limitations. We'll see you next week.